Every good thing in this world started with a dream. So you hold on to yours.
So what's your story then?
I'm not built like other men.
This is what it takes if you want to succeed.
What's happening now?
I don't know.
Can you define the wolves in this picture?
Have you been dreaming about me?
I'll be your guide. Experience everything, Bella. This makes us whole.
Last year was a tough one for the film industry. We saw strikes from both the WJ and SAG, which ended up pushing a few films to next year. Still, we got plenty of excellent films to hold us over, and today we are giving you 20 of our favorites. And yes, we titled this Best, as we always do, but art is subjective, and the idea of best just doesn't make sense to me. So Josh and I made a list of our 20 favorite films of the year, which are in no particular order, and are missing some films that I'm positive would show up on the list, but neither of us had a chance to see them yet, like The Boy and the Heron. I know that this would be at the top of the list for me, but sadly I have not had a chance to get to the theaters to see this one. It's written and directed by the absolute legend Hayao Miyazaki, who has made some of the greatest animated films of all time, like Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. The Boy and the Heron is also supposed to be Miyazaki's last film, but some info is coming out that makes it seem like that might not be the case, so fingers crossed. For a list of other films that we haven't had a chance to get to but think may have showed up on the list, check the notes below. First up on the list of films we did see is Godzilla -1. This film rules so hard, and I was not expecting that going in. The film is directed by Takashi Yamazaki and really feels like it's straight from the golden age of blockbuster films. It's loaded with epic and clever set pieces, and more importantly, a great story filled with great characters, and is easily the most fun I had in a theater this year. They're also releasing a black and white version, so hopefully we get that one soon. Holdovers is a warm throwback to 70s cinema directed by Alexander Payne, who kept the film very contained with loads of charm and emotional depth. And Paul Giamatti and Divine Joy Randolph are just so good, entirely worth the price of the rental just for them. But if you hate great acting, dialogue, comedy, and overall joy, I guess skip this one. Killers of the Flower Moon is the latest from the master Martin Scorsese. It's the tragic story about the violence against the Osage people on their own land in the 1920s Oklahoma. We got great cinematography and pace here, with a few cuts that were so brilliant I had to replay. It's the best from De Niro in a while, too.
Sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
So what about them?
See who's doing it.
Poor Things, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, whose last film, The Favorite, was one of my favorites of 2018, delivers again with a film that is weird in the best kind of way. The performances are great, the visuals are stunning, and takes big swings that defy the norm constantly throughout its 140 minutes. So if you like odd films that take big swings, this one is definitely for you. Directed by Sean Durkin, The Ironclaw is another A24 gem and is based on the true story of the Von Erich brothers. We have another solid cast here with Holt McCallany, Jeremy Allen White, Harrison Dixon, and Zac Efron, who gives a career best performance. He also looks like he had armor surgically placed underneath his skin. The dude's massive. Barbie is a movie I did not expect to love as much as I did. It's directed by Greta Gerwig and written by Gerwig and her husband Noah Baumbach, which is one hell of a power couple. Gerwig mixes depth with slapstick to great effect, which Margot Robbie grounds like no one else could, and Ryan Gosling is just pitch perfect hilarious throughout. The I'm Just Ken musical number is some of the hardest I laughed this year. I have no idea how they got Warner Brothers and Mattel to say yes to this, but I'm very glad they did. Moving into animation with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the thing I appreciate most here is that they finally cast teenagers to play teenagers. It adds a much needed layer of charm and turns the whole thing into a coming of age comedy. It also has a great offbeat style to the animation, and the soundtrack is killer.
Cool.
No, not cool.
A bit cool.
Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is not only another very long title, but another excellent animated film. If you've seen the first one and dug it, you will absolutely love this one. It does everything the first did well, but even better this time around. The animation is gorgeous, inventive, and boiling with passion and effort. The voice acting is perfect across the board, and the emotional core lands hard. The first was my favorite Spider-Man film, but now this one stole that title away. Our last animated film is Neona, and another pleasant surprise for me. Chloe Grace Moretz voices Neona, which feels like a slight offshoot of Hit Girl, and Riz Ahmed voices the lead, giving a perfect performance as usual. As with the other animations on this list, every animation is a piece of art. It's vibrant, fast-moving, funny, and full of heart, while all being set in the unique world of its source material. We're only halfway done here, but let's pause to thank today's sponsor, which is MusicBed. MusicBed is a brand that I've always trusted with my projects, and it's where I've gotten the music that you're hearing in this episode today. They have tons of options for music that help push whatever emotion the story needs. They also have the largest roster of independent artists with over 40,000 songs that you will not find anywhere else, and they are the most curated. MusicBed handpicks every artist in its exclusive roster, which are all curated for your film, TV, and advertising projects. So take your films and projects to the next level with MusicBed, and you can hear the difference for yourself and sign up for a free account. When you do fall in love with it, like I know you will, and want to upgrade, use the code FilmRiot at checkout to receive 1 month free when you purchase an annual subscription.
¿Quiénes fuimos a la montaña?
Society of the Snow is based on a true and tragic story and is one on the list that Josh has seen and I haven't. Josh says it's a gut-wrenching and impactful story of survival and resilience of the human spirit. The direction from J.A. Bayona is stellar, and it also has one of the most terrifying depictions of a plane crash he's ever seen. Rice Boy Sleeps is a film that isn't being talked about nearly enough. It's a Canadian film that got its US release this year. Anthony Shim wrote and directed the film, which is loosely based on his own life and shot in the actual places he grew up. The film is shot on 16mm film with mixed aspect ratios. It's as visually beautiful as the story it's telling, and a joy to watch the confident restraint Anthony brings to every single scene. Anatomy of a Fall is the type of film that keeps you thinking for days. First, the performances are unreal, especially from Sandra Hüller, under some of my favorite directing work of the year from Justine Triet. The absolute control she has over every shot and scene is really remarkable and deserving of multiple viewings just to study. And there's one shot in the film in particular that left me buzzing. I don't want to say much more about that, just trust me and put it high on your list. The Beast is the type of film that is rarely done right, but when it is, I adore it. It's a simple story about a small village in Spain where a feud between two farming neighbors escalates beyond repair. It's another that was released last year but got its US release this year, and has a motionless shot that lasts 7 minutes, which you can't pull your eyes away from thanks to the incredible performances. David Fincher is top 3 directors for me, and if you look on my letterbox, you'll find 7 in my top 4. So when I found out that he was reuniting with the writer of 7, Andrew Kevin Walker, this became my most anticipated of the year. It's different than I was expecting in both story and execution, but one that stayed in my mind for days and didn't force its hand at any time. Michael Fassbender is as great as always, and Tilda Swinton is MVP of every film she's in, but the standout for the entire film for me was the fight scene. It's one of the best since Fallout. Talk to Me is the first of 2 horror films on the list, and extra exciting to see since this A24 released horror film was directed by Danny and Michael Filippo, who got their start on YouTube with Raka Raka. To see folks from this side of the world break through in this way is really encouraging, and it's just a badass horror film. It pushes things without the need to go too far and prioritizes character and themes, so when the scares hit, they hit hard. Evil Dead Rise has one of the coolest title cards that I've maybe ever seen, and is the most fun that I've had watching a horror movie since It. It keeps with the more serious tone the 2013 remake brought to the table, but inches in some more elevated ideas that don't need to take themselves too seriously. It's bloody, intense, and maybe the most well-shot horror film in the last 5 years. I hadn't heard of Rye Lane until an hour before I watched it, and I'm so happy I found it. It's like a Gen Z Before Sunrise with Edgar Wright sensibilities, and as as I said on Letterboxd, it has this great effect on me where it felt modern and nostalgic all at once. Loads of chemistry and charm between the two leads, and the style and tone from first-time director Rain Allen Miller keeps the whole thing compelling and moving. Past Lives is directed by another first-timer, Celine Song, and another on the list that I haven't seen, but Josh did, and said that it's one hell of a debut and easily one of his favorites of the year. He says it's a beautiful, heartbreaking, and complex story told with so much honesty that you sometimes forget you're watching a movie and feel like you're just peering into the most lovable people's lives. So I will be watching this as soon as possible. For the last on the list that Josh saw and I did not, and maybe the one that hurts me the most that I haven't seen yet, is Dream Scenario starring Nicolas Cage. He says it's a bizarre movie with a great and unique concept about millions of strangers randomly dreaming about the same man. It's funny, weird, and thought-provoking, and I can't wait. I held Oppenheimer for last because for me, nothing this year holds a candle to the masterful storytelling of this film. I don't think I've used this word for a recent movie on the show before, but this is unquestionably a masterpiece, and probably the best film Nolan will ever make. If he tops this, I think I'm gonna need an ER visit afterwards. The film steps on the gas from the first frame and never lets up, and the way Nolan interweaves the story here feels effortless, more so than it usually does with his work, and his ability to convey incredibly complex ideas on an approachable emotional level is truly incredible. For me, this one is without a doubt Nolan's Citizen Kane and will stand the test of time just as that film did. If you haven't seen it, do that now, then do it again after that. But there you have it, our 20 favorite films of 2023. If you want to see some that were not on the list, check out mine and Josh's Letterboxd list below. And I'm positive many of you will disagree with some that were in the episode here or want to add some of your own. So I would love to hear what your favorites were for the year. So share with the class and post your top 5 or 10 below. But until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.
We must experience everything, Bella. This makes us whole.